I'm introducing the _check_increasing parameter within Sklearn's isotonic regression . It controls how strictly the algorithm enforces an increasing relationship in the fitted model. This is a multiple-choice question testing your understanding of how the _check_increasing parameter behaves in isotonic regression. We'll evaluate each option to find the correct ones. Let's get started. If you set _check_increasing to false , I allow the model to have segments where the output values are not strictly increasing. This means flat lines, plateaus, are perfectly acceptable. The function doesn't have to always go up. It can stay the same for a while. When _check_increasing is true , I demand a strictly increasing function. Any attempt to fit a model that has plateaus or decreasing segments will cause a value error . The model fitting process will stop and report an error. Setting _check_increasing to false does not force a strictly decreasing function. It simply allows for plateaus or even decreasing segments. It just doesn't enforce an increasing function. I'm clarifying statement A. If _check_increasing is true , the fitted function will be non-decreasing, meaning it can have plateaus, but not necessarily strictly monotonically increasing. The key difference is between non-decreasing and strictly increasing. A strictly increasing function always goes up. A non-decreasing function can also stay flat. I'm setting _check_increasing to true. This means I'm forcing the isotonic regression model to produce a strictly increasing function. If the model's fit isn't strictly increasing, meaning it has any plateaus or decreasing sections, I'll get a value error . It's like saying, no cheating, only uphill. Here, I'm setting _check_increasing to false. This tells the isotonic regression model it's okay to have plateaus or flat sections in the fitted function. It doesn't have to strictly increase at every point. The function can stay level for a while, but it will never decrease. I'm using isotonic regression. It's a type of regression that fits a non-decreasing function to the data. Think of it as finding the smoothest, increasing line, or a line with flat spots, through your data points. This is the actual function that isotonic regression produces after being fit to the data. The specific values of this function depends on both the input data and the setting of the _check_increasing parameter. This is the result of all the work. I'm focusing on Sklearn's isotonic model. It creates a non-decreasing function, meaning the output values either increase or stay the same. Think of it like a gradually climbing staircase. It's allowed to have flat steps, plateaus, but it can't go down. This model is super useful when you expect your data to show a generally increasing trend, but you're okay with some periods of no change. I'm setting the _checkincreasing parameter to true . This tells the model, hey, I want a strictly increasing function. No plateaus allowed. If the model can't create a strictly increasing function, it'll throw a value error . It'll basically yell at me and say, I can't make this work the way you want. Now, I'm setting _checkincreasing to false . This means I'm telling the model, it's okay to have plateaus or flat spots in my function. The model is free to create a non-decreasing function with flat sections. It won't force a decreasing trend, it just won't prevent flat sections. It's like saying, I'm okay with some level steps on the staircase. This question tests whether I understand how the _checkincreasing parameter works within the isotonic model. If I set _checkincreasing to false , then I'm explicitly allowing the model to create a function that can have periods where it's flat or even stays the same, non-increasing segments. It's totally fine with plateaus. This statement is incorrect. Setting _checkincreasing to true only attempts to make the function strictly increasing. It does not guarantee it. If it fails, a value error occurs. This is wrong. Setting checkincreasing backquote to backquote false backquote only permits non-increasing segments, like plateaus. It does not enforce a strictly decreasing function. This is correct. If I want a strictly increasing function and the model can't produce one, maybe because of the data, it will raise a backquote value error backquote. I'm explaining the backquote check_increasing backquote parameter in scikit-learn's isotonic regression. It controls how strictly the regression model increases. Think of it like a control knob for how steep the uphill climb needs to be. This is the core question. What does the backquote check_increasing backquote parameter do in isotonic regression? We have multiple choices, and we'll examine each one carefully. This statement says that if I set backquote check_increasing backquote to backquote true backquote, the resulting regression will always strictly increase. No flat lines, no decreases. This is incorrect. A true isotonic regression only needs to be non-decreasing. Plateaus, flat parts, are allowed. If I set backquote check_increasing backquote to backquote true backquote, and the model finds itself unable to make the regression strictly increasing, like if it hits a plateau, it raises a value error, stopping the process. This is correct. I'm finding it correct. This is absolutely correct. Setting backquote check_increasing backquote to backquote false backquote tells the model it's okay to have flat sections or even slight dips. It's less strict. This option is wrong. Setting backquote check_increasing backquote to backquote false backquote does not force a strictly decreasing outcome. It simply permits plateaus and non-increasing segments. I'm emphasizing this distinction. It's important. These are the answer choices to the quiz question about the behavior of backquote check_increasing backquote. We have already evaluated each one. I'm proud of us for figuring it out step by step. I'm explaining the backquote check_increasing backquote parameter in scikit-learn's isotonic regression. It controls how strictly the regression model increases. Think of it like a control knob for how steep the uphill climb needs to be. I'm explaining the backquote check_increasing backquote parameter in scikit-learn's isotonic regression. It controls whether the fitted function must strictly increase or can have flat parts, plateaus. When you set backquote check_increasing backquote to backquote true backquote, you're telling the model that the relationship you are modeling must be strictly increasing. No plateaus are allowed. Setting backquote check_increasing backquote to backquote false backquote means you are permitting plateaus. The fitted function doesn't have to be strictly increasing. It can have flat sections where the output doesn't change even if the input does. If backquote check_increasing backquote is backquote true backquote and the isotonic regression model can't fit a strictly increasing function to your data, it throws a backquote value error backquote to let you know something is amiss. With backquote check_increasing equals false backquote, you explicitly allow plateaus in your model. The fitted function can include segments where the output remains constant. Setting backquote check_increasing backquote to backquote false backquote does not mean the function will decrease. It simply means that decreasing segments are permitted. The function will still be non-decreasing, which means it can have increasing, constant, or flat parts, but it won't force strictly decreasing behavior. This statement is incorrect. Backquote check_increasing equals true backquote doesn't guarantee a strictly increasing function. It only ensures a non-decreasing function which allows for plateaus. This statement is correct. A backquote value error backquote is raised if you've set backquote check_increasing equals true backquote and your data doesn't support fitting a strictly increasing function. This is correct. This setting specifically allows non-increasing segments. Incorrect. Backquote check_increasing equals false backquote does not enforce a strictly decreasing function. It simply means the model permits flat or non-increasing parts. I'll explain the backquote check_increasing backquote parameter in scikit-learn's backquote isotonic regression backquote. It controls whether the model strictly enforces a monotonically increasing function or allows for plateaus, where the function remains flat for a range of inputs. Think of it like this: a strict uphill climb versus a hike with some flat stretches. If you set backquote check_increasing equals true backquote, the model will only accept a perfectly increasing function. If, after fitting, the model finds any decreases or even flat sections, it will throw a valuerror. This ensures your function always goes strictly uphill. When _check_increasing equals false, I allow the model to produce a function with flat sections. The function is still generally non-decreasing. It never goes downhill, but it's okay to have some level stretches along the way. Think of it as a more relaxed requirement for the function's behavior. Isotonic regression is a method for fitting a non-decreasing function to data. The _check_increasing parameter is a crucial part of this process. It dictates how strictly the algorithm enforces the non-decreasing constraint. This phrase introduces the core concept. The _check_increasing parameter within scikit-learn's isotonic regression. I'll explain what this parameter does and how it affects the model's output. Think of it as a control switch. It governs whether the model is allowed to create flat parts or only strictly increasing ones. Here, I'm setting the _check_increasing parameter to =true. This means I'm instructing the isotonic regression model to only fit a strictly increasing function. Any attempt to create a flat section or a decreasing part will cause an error. It's like saying, I only want the curve to go up, no flat spots or dips allowed. When =check_increasing is =true, the model ensures that for every data point, the predicted value is always greater than the previous one. If the model can't satisfy this strict condition during the fitting process, it throws a value error, basically saying, I can't make this strictly increasing. Now, I'm setting =check_increasing to false. This lets the model have plateaus, or flat spots, in its output. The curve is allowed to increase, stay flat, and increase again without causing an error. It still can't decrease, though. Think of it as relaxing the strict rule. It can go up, or stay level, but not down. With =check_increasing equals false, the fitted isotonic regression function is not forced to be strictly increasing. It can contain segments where the output stays constant. These are the plateaus. The key here is that it only allows non-decreasing functions. This is just letting you know a multiple-choice question will follow, testing your understanding of the =check_increasing parameter. This is the actual multiple-choice question. You're going to choose from several options describing the behavior of the =check_increasing parameter. Option incorrectly states that =check_increasing equals true. Forces a strictly increasing function, meaning no plateaus are allowed. It only enforces a non-decreasing function, allowing plateaus. Option B correctly states that a value error will be raised if the model, with =check_increasing equals true, cannot fit a strictly increasing function. Option C correctly describes that with =check_increasing equals false, the model is allowed to have non-increasing segments, plateaus, in the output. Option D incorrectly implies that =check_increasing equals false, would force a strictly decreasing function. This is not the case. It only allows for non-decreasing ones.